The rusty shuttle descended through the hazy skies of Thrak-IV, its engines coughing out a final breath as it landed on the outskirts of Karak. Stevenson peered through the dirt-smeared window, taking in the desolate landscape that stretched towards the horizon. The backwater town of Karak was little more than a collection of dilapidated structures, clinging to survival on the edge of the vast desert world. Stevenson turned to his team, a motley crew of rebel commandos who had volunteered for this mission. Each of them wore the determination of their cause like armor, but beneath it, Stevenson could see the flickers of apprehension. "Remember why we're here," he said, his voice steady. "To free those the Republic has forgotten, to give them a chance to fight for their freedom. This is just the first step." As they disembarked, the oppressive heat of Thrak-IV enveloped them, a harsh welcome from a world unforgiving to strangers. Stevenson led the way into Karak, his gaze alert. The town's inhabitants watched them with a mix of curiosity and wariness, the presence of armed strangers a rarity in their isolated existence. Their first task was to secure transportation capable of traversing the treacherous desert to the prison camp. Stevenson approached a local merchant, a grizzled man with eyes sharpened by years of desert life. The haggling was brief. The urgency of their mission left no room for prolonged negotiation. With a rugged, all-terrain vehicle acquired, Stevenson and his team loaded their limited supplies and set about making final preparations. As night fell, Stevenson gathered his team for a final briefing. The glow of their campfire flickered across their faces, casting shadows that seemed to dance with the gravity of their task. "The journey ahead will be perilous," Stevenson admitted, "but I have no doubt in this team. We're not just fighting for the sake of fighting, we're lighting a beacon of hope in this darkness." The team's response was a unified nod, their resolve hardened by Stevenson's words. They understood the stakes. The Republic's prison camp was notorious for its brutality, a place where the spirit of the oppressed was crushed under the weight of forced labor. That night, under the alien stars of Thrak-IV, Stevenson reflected on the path that had led him here. A rebel fighter since his youth, he had seen too many fall, too many lives shattered by the relentless machine of the People's Republic. But this mission, this chance to strike a blow against the oppressors and rally more to their cause, reignited a fire within him. The mission to free the prisoners of the camp was more than a strategic objective. It was a symbol of the rebellion's persistence, a testament to their refusal to be extinguished. As Stevenson looked over his team, each of them lost in their thoughts, he knew the dawn would bring a challenge unlike any they had faced. But together, they were ready. Tomorrow they would venture into the heart of the desert, towards the prison that symbolized the Republic's cruelty. Tomorrow, they would fight not just for the liberation of those imprisoned, but for the soul of their movement. As the fire dwindled to embers, Stevenson and his team rested, the quiet of the desert night enveloping them. The journey to the prison camp loomed large, a shadow on the horizon, but they were undeterred. For Stevenson, the mission was clear, and the resolve of his team unwavering. They were the spark that would ignite the flames of rebellion on Thrak-IV. As dawn broke, casting a pale light over the desolate landscape of Thrak-IV, Stevenson and his team embarked on their perilous journey across the desert. The all-terrain vehicle, loaded with their scant supplies and weaponry, groaned under the weight as they set off, leaving the relative safety of Karak behind. The desert of Thrak-IV was a relentless adversary. Vast dunes rose and fell like the swells of a turbulent ocean, each one a barrier to their progress. The sun, a merciless beacon in the sky, beat down upon them, sapping their strength and testing their resolve. Stevenson drove with unwavering focus, his eyes fixed on the horizon, where their objective, the prison camp, awaited. The team's spirits were buoyed by the mission's importance, yet the oppressive environment and the isolation of the desert weighed heavily on them. Stevenson used this time to reflect on each of his comrades' stories, understanding that their reasons for joining the fight were as varied as the stars above. Some fought for lost loved ones, others for the ideal of freedom, but all were united under the banner resistance. As they navigated through a particularly treacherous canyon, the quiet was shattered by the roar of a sandstorm, a towering wall of sand and wind that bore down upon them with relentless fury. Stevenson ordered the team to secure themselves in the vehicle as best they could, facing the storm's wrath head-on. Visibility dropped to near zero, and the vehicle bucked and swayed, as if it were a small boat in a vast, angry sea. The storm raged for hours, a test of their endurance and their commitment to the mission. When it finally passed, leaving an eerie calm in its wake, Stevenson and his team emerged, battered but unbroken. The vehicle had sustained damage, but it was still operational, a testament to the resilience not just of their transport, but of their collective spirit. Yet the storm was not the only challenge the desert had in store for them. As they continued their journey, the team encountered a patrol of Republic drones, likely scouring the desert for rebels and outlaws. Quick thinking and even quicker action by Stevenson and his sharpshooter Lily took out the drones before they could relay their position back to the prison camp. These encounters, both natural and man-made, served as stark reminders of the dangers they faced, not just at their destination but in every mile they crossed to get there. Stevenson used these moments to reinforce the importance of vigilance, teamwork, and the belief in their cause. Each obstacle overcome brought them closer to the prison camp, to the prisoners they hoped to liberate, and to the possibility of striking a meaningful blow against the People's Republic. The journey across Thrak-IV's desert was more than a physical trek, it was a crucible, forging the team into a unified force, ready to confront whatever awaited them at the prison camp. As the sun set on the second day, casting long shadows over the desert, Stevenson and his team made camp, the prison camp's coordinates programmed into their vehicle's navigation system. Tomorrow, they would reach their destination. Tomorrow, they would face their enemy head-on. But tonight they rested, gathering their strength for the battle to come. In the quiet of the desert night, under a blanket of stars, Stevenson pondered the journey ahead, aware of the challenges but steadfast in his belief in their mission. The resolve of his team, their courage in the face of adversity, bolstered his own. Together they were a beacon of hope in the darkness, a promise of resistance against the tyranny of the People's Republic. And as Stevenson looked out across the desert toward the unseen prison camp, he knew they were ready for whatever lay ahead. In the dim light of pre-dawn, Stevenson and his team, cloaked by the shadowy embrace of Thrak-IV's desert, inched closer to the sprawling silhouette of the People's Republic forced labor prison camp. The camp, illuminated faintly by the harsh glare of floodlights, stood as a fortress of despair on the barren landscape, its formidable defenses casting long shadows across the sand. With meticulous precision, Stevenson's team divided, each member taking their designated position. Stevenson, alongside Lily and Leonard, formed the spearhead, tasked with breaching the camp's defenses. Their hearts pounded not just with the anticipation of the fight, but with the weight of the lives they hoped to save and the lives they might lose. The assault kicked off with Lily's sharpshooter rifle, cracking the silence of the desert night. The first guard tower's spotlight exploded in a shower of sparks, plunging part of the camp into darkness. This was their cue. Like specters, they advanced, utilizing the chaos as cover. The camp erupted into bedlam as alarms blared. Stevenson's team capitalized on the confusion, but the Republic's forces were quick to respond. Automated turrets whirred to life, spitting deadly fire into the night. Leonard, with a launcher resting on his shoulder, took aim and dispatched the turrets with precision, each explosion a beacon of their defiance. Yet the intelligence had underestimated the enemy. Reinforcements poured from the barracks, their numbers and firepower exceeding Stevenson's grimmest predictions. The rebels found themselves pinned, the night air shattered by the relentless exchange of gunfire. Stevenson, ducking behind the scant cover of a fallen wall, barked orders, directing fire, and rallying his team amidst the storm of bullets. The turning point came in an unexpected form. The prisoners, galvanized by the sounds of battle and the sight of their would-be liberators, began their uprising from within. Makeshift weapons in hand, they surged against their captors, their desperation fueling their courage. Stevenson's heart surged as he witnessed the tide beginning to turn, the spirit of rebellion igniting within the camp's walls. Realizing the momentum was shifting, Stevenson led a bold push into the heart of the camp. Their objective was clear: to break the chains of oppression and rally the prisoners to their cause. The fight grew close-quartered, the rebels and prisoners fighting side by side. Every corridor and cell block became a battleground, every shadow a potential threat. Despite their determination, Stevenson's team sustained losses, the grim toll of their endeavor evident in the faces of those who fell. Jules, ever at Stevenson's side, took a grievous wound, his fall a stark reminder of the mission's cost. Stevenson, driven by a mix of rage and sorrow, fought on, his resolve hardened by the loss of his friend. As the sun crested the horizon, casting its first light on the liberated camp, the battle reached its crescendo. The guards, overwhelmed by the combined force of the rebels and the newly freed prisoners, capitulated. The prison, once a symbol of the Republic's cruelty, was now a testament to the power of unity and resistance. The aftermath was a scene of mixed emotion. Joy at their victory mingled with grief for the fallen. Stevenson, amidst the celebration of the freed, felt the weight of their sacrifice. He gathered his team, both the living and the departed, preparing for the journey ahead. Their mission had succeeded, but at great cost. As they awaited the rebel starship for extraction, Stevenson looked out over the throngs of liberated prisoners, seeing in their eyes a reflection of his own resolve. They had come as oppressors but would leave as liberators, their ranks bolstered by those they had freed, each one a spark in the growing fire of rebellion against the People's Republic. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please be sure to subscribe and leave a like. Feel free to check out either of the videos linked here as well.